Okay, so YouTube tells me that I'm live. And if you're listening to me on the audio side, welcome to the Startup Selling Podcast, Talking Sales with Scott Sambucci. Today's a little bit of a different episode, and part of me feels a little bit uncomfortable about doing this, and I feel like that's exactly the reason why I should do this. So if you just bear with me, I'm going to do my best, and I'm just going to let it shoot, let it fire here. So right now, as I'm recording, it is 5:44 in the morning. I'm standing in my home office at home, and the reason that I wanted to record this podcast, this episode, is because yesterday was one of those days that if you're a parent, spouse, a partner, all three, and you're also an entrepreneur, and it's one of those days where you leave the day, you finish the day feeling mostly exasperated. And the reason that I wanted to share this episode with you is because I know for myself, I know that I cannot be the only person out there in the world that had this kind of day, number one. Number two, if I'm not the only person out there that's had this kind of day, then there's probably other people like you listening to this that may feel like, man, am I the only person that has these kinds of days? The answer is no. And so I want to record this to let you know that there are other people like you that have this kind of day. And number three, probably most importantly, let's keep it all in perspective, because, for probably 99.9% of us or more listening to this podcast and doing what we do every day as entrepreneurs, as family people, those of you that have families, our life is pretty damn good. So it's all relative. So I want to keep that in mind. So let me just kind of dive into the day, and I think that will help for us to see why I wanted to share this with you. So if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, you can see I'm standing here in my home office, and I've got two things that I'm wearing right now that are kind of special to me, and I'll get to those a little bit later. Number one is my Superman t-shirt. So my son, I have a 6.5, almost 7-year-old son who gave me the Superman t-shirt for Father's Day. And a lot of days where I feel like I need a little suit of armor, I wear this t-shirt because it just, as much as some people might look at that as a little bit egotistical for somebody wearing a Superman t-shirt, sometimes I feel like I need it. And I think a lot of you out there might feel like you have those days as well. The second thing I'm wearing, which is a little bit unusual, is a hat. I'm wearing a Mercy Corps hat. And Mercy Corps is an international organization that my wife and I have supported over the years. My sister used to work there. And this is a hat that I wear because I'm a big believer in their mission. And I've done some fundraising for them as well. And when I wear this hat, one of the reasons I wear this hat every day, one, to keep the hair out of my face, and two, it's a constant reminder for me that there are people around us in this world that are in much, much worse shape than we're in each and every day. So with that as a bit of a primer, I think this, if you've listened to this far already, then you can tell this is not going to be one of those, hey, I'm going to teach you something about sales kinds of podcasts. This is going to be more of a human to human conversation, because I feel like it's really, really important for all of us out there that are working really damn hard to build on top of a mission and a vision and build a company that is going to make an impact in our world around us. I want all of you to know, like I said, that I had one of these days, and I'm sure that many of you have one of these days, probably more than you'd like. And I want to share this just to let you know that you're not alone out there. So here we go. Let me share a little bit of the day. So first things first, my wife and I both work. I have my job. I have my company that I run here at Sales Qualia, and my wife she's a PhD at UC Davis, and she also does some consulting work on this with a local consulting company, and she's also a certified flight instructor, where she goes and teaches people how to fly airplanes. So she's pretty badass. I'm really, really proud of her. And so she's running 3 jobs effectively on a daily, weekly basis. And yesterday was one of those days where she was traveling for her consulting work. And so I had daddy duty from, morning until from wake up all the way through to end of the day when she was back home. And so the day started pretty rough for my son and I, and probably rough again. I always want to cage this by saying it's all relative. It was just rough if you have a child of any age, whether they're 6 months old, 6 years old, or 16 years old, these days where you just don't get along. You've got an agenda in your mind about how things need to go, how things need to work, to go from like wake up to breakfast, to get ready to school, to get to school so that you can get to work and get your stuff done. It was one of those mornings that just wasn't working. So I said yes, he said no. I said black, he said white. And even worse, it was more like I'd say something and he would ignore me. I would ask a question, could you go upstairs and brush your teeth? Could you go get some socks on? We need to get going, pack up your backpack. And even worse than getting a response of, no, I don't want to, it was more of complete and utter ignorance, in the sense that he just chose not to even acknowledge that I was speaking. So, our process in the morning, trying to get out of the house, he needs to get to school by about 8:10, 8:15. I know that there's a pretty big transaction cost of time from the moment that I think it's time to go and the time we actually get in the car and do drop off. So like for me, it's about 7:30. I start the process of, okay, let's get rolling here. Let's get packed up. Let's get dressed. Let's get out the door. Let's get your teeth brushed so we can get to school by 8:15, even though the school is 6 minutes away. So like I just know that there's this big transaction cost. And despite this big transaction cost of time, there were 7, 8 different times where it was just utter frustration, just trying to get out of the house. And I'm supposed to be the adult here. I know that he's 6 years old. It doesn't make the frustration any easier, and it doesn't prevent me from getting angry, right? Getting upset. Like, look, I got, like, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about the fact I've got to get to work. And I also know that I have to do pickup at the end of the day because my wife is not home for the day, which already abbreviates the amount of time that I'm going to have to work. I have to be at school at 2:30 to pick him up. And then after pickup, I have to take him to his jiu-jitsu class that he does at 4:10. And so that reality forces me to have fewer hours. I don't want to work 12 hours a day, as 15 or 16 hours a day, like I know a lot of entrepreneurs have to do every single day. I also know I have stuff to do, right? I'm trying to run the company. I want to make sure that I'm delivering the most value possible to all of our clients through coaching and content creation and helping to build community and help them help each other. And, between all of that, there's just a certain amount of fixed time I know I need to spend each and every day. And if I don't spend that time during the day, that means I'm going to be spending that time at night after dinner, after my son gets to bed, standing here in this home office, getting stuff done, right? So all of that is going on in my head while I'm trying to convince my 6.5-year-old why he should put on his socks and why he should get ready to go to school. The thing is, he doesn't care. And I know he doesn't care. And it's not that he doesn't care about me. He doesn't care that I have stuff to do because he just doesn't have an understanding of adulthood and like the stuff that you and I have to do every single day. So that was kind of the tripwire for the day, is just, finally getting to school, getting in the car, getting to school, and then making the frustration build even more as we're leaving the car. Ask him to hand something to me, and he does just about to put it in my hand, and then as I close my hand, he pulls it away. Just about to hand it to me, I close my hand, he pulls it away. So he's just doing the stuff that a mischievous 6.5, creative 6.5 kid does, right? He just knows I've reached a level of frustration, and he knows he can make it just a little bit worse. So why not make it a little bit worse? And so, we finally get him, out of the car, walking to school. And now I'm driving to the office, And while I should be getting into a work frame of mind, I'm just thinking about how I've got, all kinds of cortisone and other types of sort of negative chemicals running through my body just because of the amount of frustration that I've been feeling all morning. So that was kind of the first 2 hours of the day. He gets up at 6:15. It was finally around 8:20 that we did drop off. So 2 hours basically focused on getting him up, getting him breakfast, getting him ready, getting to school, doing drop off. And now I've got to switch from dad to business owner, entrepreneur, sales coach. So quick pause there while I take a drink. So if this sounds familiar for any of you, if you're listening to this on your commute or you're listening to this sitting at your desk, you're probably saying to me, yeah, this sounds pretty familiar. Okay, so now workday starts. And, again, like workday, it's all relative. We've got great clients. We've got a great team around us. We're doing really fun stuff every single day. The challenge I had yesterday is just this compression of time, right? Because now it's a little past 8:30 before I finally get to a place where I can start to focus on what needs to happen for the day. And I'm looking at my calendar for the day, right? I set up my calendar. Heidi, my executive assistant, she's awesome. She helps me set up my calendar. And typically Mondays, yesterday was a Monday, typically Mondays for me, or what we call for me, our genius day. It's my genius day. It's my focus day, meaning that most Mondays, I don't do a lot of calls. It's a day where I have set this aside so I can focus on building content, thinking about we have, for example, 3 days or 3 times a year, we have a 2-day client intensive. It's like a 2-day workshop where we bring our clients together. They work with me, they work with each other, huge room full of 30, 40 entrepreneurs and their teams. And we're building out 100-day sales plans. And we have a big event coming up in January. It's about a month away. And so we need these days. I need that space to work on those kinds of high value, high intensity events. And so Monday is one of those days where I have those days blocked out, except much like a lot of you out there listening, at the time of year that I'm recording this, yesterday was December the 17th. It's the last full week before Christmas. And that means that it's just, frankly, it's crunch time. It's crunch time for a lot of our clients. They're trying to get stuff done and out the door. It's crunch time on the sales side. A lot of conversations tend to come to a head over this last full week of the year, because many of the startup teams that we've been communicating with and marketing to over the weeks and months and years in some cases, they finally get to the point where they go like, wow, okay, the year's over. I didn't hit the outcomes that I wanted to hit this year. I want to make next year better. Maybe I need to get some help. And so we have this sort of rush. Again, this is all good problems, right? But we have a rush of sales conversations that we're having. Steven's having on my team. Julian is trying to manage all the marketing and the leads coming in. And we're also talking with our existing clients about what does next year look like and helping them build their plan of action rolling into January. We've got some of our clients in one program that are ready to move up into the next program. So we're having those conversations. So those are renewals and upsell types of conversations. So what that means is that my normal day on Monday, which is supposed to be blocked out for me to focus intensely on content creation, is just full of calls, right? So I've got a call at 10:15 with a client and helping him and his sales rep in Mexico build out a plan for next year. We have a couple of team calls, internal calls back to back. I got my one-on-one with Heidi to go through the calendar for the week. Then we have our weekly team call to kind of set the tone for a week. After that, doing a sales pipeline sprint with Steven to roll through that. After that call with Steven, I have a couple of other quick conversations I'm having with other folks. And all of a sudden I look at the clock and it's 2:05. I'm like, wow, okay, now I got to pack up, get my stuff together out of the office and head back to school to pick up my son. So I'm feeling like the day went by like that, right? I blinked and 6 hours passed, right? Gone. Boom, done. Now we got stuff done. But sometimes I feel like, and again, you probably feel the same way, and this is why I'm sharing this, like, man, I did a lot of stuff. What exactly did I just do? And I know all of the things that I did contributed to moving the company forward, helping our clients, potentially bringing in new clients, all of those things. But it just goes by so fast. I'm like, if I just had 2 more hours of time today to focus on the other stuff that's on my list of things to do, the other deliverables that I know I need to deliver on, that would be really great. But I don't have that time because I have to go to school and do pickup, right? So this is where, jumping back into my day with my son, things got rough again. And again, it's just one of those things, right? Where I go pick him up from school and I find out at school, okay, he didn't have a great day at school. He was a little bit bothersome to some other kids. Nothing bad. It's just like he's 6.5. He's full of energy. He's not malicious. He's not a bad kid. It's just like he's excited. It's Christmas time and there's a lot of stuff happening. And so we sit down and, after class, talk to his teacher for a couple minutes and sort that out. And we sit down at the picnic table. I'm like, all right, let's just sit and let's have a snack and let's relax. Let's talk about the day. And it's hard because you're trying to communicate to a 6.5-year-old in a language, in a method that makes sense to him, help him understand what good choices are and what bad choices are, and help him understand that just because he makes bad choices, it doesn't make him a bad person. It doesn't mean that just because I'm frustrated, it doesn't mean I'm angry or I don't like him. These are all things that they don't come with the fictitious parenting manual that nobody gives you. I'm doing the best I can in all of these situations. And I know that whatever I'm doing, I could and should be doing better, whatever standards those are. And so that's hard, right? But then things picked up a little bit a moment later because he's had this really, really loose tooth for a while. It's been bothering him. He's eating a banana and he just says, it hurts my tooth. I said, all right, it's time for that thing to come out. And so this is where I get to be a dad and say, okay, get a paper towel. Let's get this thing out. And so there on the school grounds, we work on the tooth. It's pretty loose. All I have to do is kind of twist it, pluck. Sorry if that's a little graphic. But now we went from, moments ago having conversations about choices and me being a dad to like being the dad that is trying to, teach life lessons to my son, to now like this moment of joy, because if you're 6.5 and you lose a tooth, that's pretty cool because now you have this big gap in your mouth. First of all, second of all, it means the tooth fairy's coming, so he's pretty pumped about that. And so that was a nice break. So there's a little bit of an emotional high now. Like, okay, cool, maybe things are going to be better. And so we run over to the playground, let him play for a little bit, and then it's time to head over to jiu-jitsu class. And so, get in the car, go over to jiu-jitsu class. And again, like I'm thinking in my mind, okay, I'm not just, as a dad trying to get my son to class. I'm also thinking, well, okay, now I have an hour. And if there's a cafe that's walking distance, like a quarter mile away, I could drop him off, walk down to the cafe and just bust out a good hour, 45 minutes, just do like a sprint, get through Slack, outstanding stuff from my team, maybe go through, work on a single project that I've got sitting there that I've got to get some things done on, like whatever that thing is that I'm going to work on. I don't even know what it is. I just know I got about 45 minutes to an hour, go down to the cafe, bust it out, then get it done. I'm like, okay, cool. At least I can finish the work day on a high note. Walk down to the cafe. I don't know why. It's closed. It's open every other Monday of the year. For some reason, yesterday, it was closed. So now I'm like, where else? What am I going to do? So I quickly transition, go back to jiu-jitsu class. Fortunately, one of the habits that I've developed for myself is I always carry my gym bag with me. So I pack it up in the morning and I just bring it with me. And the reason I do that is because I know my time is short and confined. And sometimes I just don't know when I'm going to be able to get a workout in, to get a run in, or do something as part of my endurance racing training. Fortunately, I have my clothes. So I'm sitting there in the jiu-jitsu parking lot and like literally changing out of my jeans into my running gear in the car, throw on my shoes and look at the clock and I realize I've got 45 minutes. So off I go. And I managed to work in a 5-mile run. I'm like, okay, so things are better now. I didn't get my work done. At least I got the exercise that I want to get. Again, if you're listening to this, maybe this all sounds familiar because you're trying to do all the things you know you need to do. You're trying to work. You're trying to be a parent. You're trying to take care of yourself as much as you can because you know you have to take care of yourself if you want to take care of the people around you. So this is one of those self-care things. I just decided that, okay, this 45 minutes, I wanted to get work done. At least I can get a run in, get some exercise, and that will give me a lift for the rest of the day. So I do the run. I get back to class just as it's ending. Whew, unfortunately. So he's not sitting outside waiting for me, which just hasn't happened. But I was, want to make sure I'm back in time for that. So pick him up, get in the car, we head home, right? And take a quick drink. So fortunately, my wife is back by now. She's getting dinner together for us. We walk in the house. He's excited about losing his tooth. Can't wait to tell mom all about the tooth coming out. He's ravished, hungry. Didn't have a good lunch at school. I found out later. And of course, again, this is where you get back into disagreeable mode. Hey, we're having salmon and tomatoes for dinner. I don't want salmon and tomatoes. I want enchiladas from Trader Joe's in the frozen food section. Well, I'm sorry, you can't have enchiladas because you had enchiladas for breakfast. Yes, I know, dad of the year. Probably half or more of our meals come from the Trader Joe's frozen food section for him because that's the stuff he eats. And it's not great. Sometimes we just got to get food down him. So yes, he had enchiladas for breakfast. And now he wanted enchiladas for dinner. And this is where, again, you got to draw the line at some point and say, look, man, you got to have something nutritious. Like salmon is good for you. Tomatoes are good for you. Kombucha is good for you. Your job is to take care of your body. And trying to convey this to a 6.5-year-old is not easy. So then the negotiation begins. Well, I want enchiladas. I want to eat enchiladas. I don't want salmon. I don't want fish. So then, okay. Eat the salmon on your plate, then you can have as many enchiladas as you want, which somehow, some way actually worked. So we got that negotiation done. I think one of the reasons that he was having a rough day, he must have been starving because he ate all of his fish, all of his tomatoes, and then 2 freaking enchiladas, and then asked for more when he was done. So, okay, cool. So, okay, now it's like 6:30, and at this point, my mind is thinking, okay, how much, we got about an hour left in the day. And in that hour, what can we do to finish the day on a good note, get him to bed, get him some sleep, get him some rest that he needs. So that, again, frankly, in my brain, I'm thinking to myself, so that I can get back to this home office where I'm staying with you right now and get some stuff done, some stuff that I just didn't get done during the day because of all the other things that I'm doing. So again, the negotiations begin. So look, you got an hour left. Here's some things, Benjamin, that we talked about earlier in the day. I had a rough morning. One of the things that you and I talked about at the picnic table was, why don't we build a checklist of things that you need to do every morning so that we're not running around like crazy? And it's late, it's tiring. He agrees to it reluctantly. Finally, after 17 times asking him, and he's starting to write out this list. He makes a mistake. Boom. As soon as he makes a mistake, his brain goes ballistic, scratches everything out. I hate this. I don't want to do it. Throws the pen down, runs out of the room just because he made one little mistake. And so now we got to cajole him back to the kitchen table. Okay, look, let's get this list together. It's going to be good. This is going to help us all. My wife is thankfully way more patient than I am. So using her very best mom skills, finally gets him back to the table, gets the list together. It took him 3 minutes to write this list, but it took us an hour to get it done. If that makes any sense. It took him 3 minutes to write it down, but it took us an hour to actually, from the time we proposed the idea to the time that he finished. So you can imagine for the other 57 minutes of negotiation, cajoling, convincing, parroting, telling them it's okay to make a mistake. There's a reason that pencils have erasers, because we all make mistakes. These are all the things that are coming out of my mouth, like hoping that we can get something to click in his brain, because it's hard. He's 6.5. And I'm standing here telling you this, and I can also tell you that the whole time I'm trying to explain to him all of these things, the frustration is welling up in me. I'm getting angry even to say, like, look, man, just do the freaking checklist. Like, what is so hard about this? It's this is life, right? And so I'm getting frustrated. He's getting frustrated. He's tired. My wife is exhausted because she was traveling all day. And it's like, it's 7:05, 7:10. We're just trying to get this stuff done, trying to get through the day. And in my mind, I'm also thinking about in getting to my home office, because I've got contracts to get out. I've got through with some of our clients that have had that just like straight up, sometimes clients just don't pay their bills. Probably sounds familiar to you. The very last thing I ever feel like doing is dealing with billing issues. And yes, I've got operations people, and I've got Heidi that helps me out and all those things. But at the end of the day, like these are my problems, and I got to figure out how to get these clients that owe us money to pay us the money that they owe, right? That's not why I started this business, to like figure out how to write a letter to somebody that says, hey, this is why you should pay us. That's not why I do this. I'm sure that's not why you do what you do. But yet I have to deal with this issue. And that's going on in my brain at 7:12, 7:13, 7:14, while my son's trying to jot out this checklist of stuff that he needs to do to make tomorrow a better day. Sound familiar? I know I'm not alone. And this is why I'm doing this, because this is probably stuff that you're going through every day too. So finally we could do bath time. Thankfully, my wife could see that, I needed a break. I'd done the morning stuff, done the pickup, done the jujitsu thing, done done as much as I could for the day. I just needed space. And so she did the bath time, she did the bedtime thing. And this is where, in the end, despite all of our disagreements, I know that my son loves me, and I know that being a parent is awesome, because my wife came downstairs. She said, he's ready for bed. He's in his bed. He asked if he could say goodnight to you, which of course I go up there every night. So I go up there with a glass of water, and I say, look, I brought you a glass of water. And he sat up in his bed and said, Daddy, I'm really sorry for being rude to you. I'm really sorry that I wasn't acting nicely today. And I know that he meant it. And so in that moment of calm, after all the chaos of the day, the arguments in the morning, the frustrations in the afternoon, with school, getting through the evening with this, trying to build this checklist and trying to get him, to bed, that moment where he says, I'm sorry, and I know that he means it, it makes everything else melt away. And so, he lost his tooth, so he's got his tooth under his pillow. We talk about the tooth fairy coming. He asked me, how much do you think I'm going to get from the tooth fairy? And then we start talking about the elf on the shelf. And I said, well, what if the tooth fairy and the elf on the shelf see each other? What's going to happen? Which just made his brain explode in a good way. He's like, oh man, maybe they'll dance. Maybe they'll sing. Maybe they'll talk to each other. We have two fictitious creatures coming in and out of our house, one to get a tooth and the other one to help him get ready for Christmas. And those last couple minutes of the day were good moments. And, he off to bed, went to sleep, and me to my home office to get stuff done that I need to get done, and wrapping up the day in the living room, just sitting with my wife and just sharing our frustration and like how it's hard to be a parent, how I don't know what I'm doing most of the time. And even the times that I do know what I'm doing, I probably really don't know what I'm doing. And being exasperated and frustrated and wanting to do the right thing, wanting to be a good husband, wanting to be a good dad, wanting to be a good business owner for my clients and for my team, wanting to do the best, wanting to do the best for myself, to do the races that I do, to eat right, to be a good example for everyone around me, to be a good example for myself of what I know is possible. And, it's tough. It's hard. And now it's past 9 o'clock and I got to get up. I get up early. I get up really early. I started hitting record button. It was 5:44. I was up at 4:30. I get up at 4:30 and at latest 5 o'clock almost every day of the week. So now it's past 9 o'clock and I got to get to sleep. I got to get some decent sleep so that I can have a good day today. And so get to bed. And as the day would have it, I had one last moment of dad parenting stuff. And because I woke up hearing my son crying. And so I'm a light sleeper, so I'm always the one that wakes up, run upstairs, and he's upset because his tooth is gone. The tooth fairy took his tooth, which is what I did, obviously before we went to bed. And he was hoping the tooth fairy would leave the tooth and leave the dollar. So now that one last moment of negotiation where I forgot to mention this, but had my wife draw a fairy on the tooth fairy on a piece of paper. I left a note on the piece of paper that said, "Hey, Benjamin, here's something about," I can't remember exactly what was on the note. Great job losing your tooth or something like that. If you have a really good day tomorrow, then I'll come back tomorrow night and bring you another dollar. So yes, I've resorted to using fictitious creatures to negotiate and to help with my parenting skills. Bribery, I'm not beyond bribery if necessary, because if he doesn't listen to me, maybe he'll listen to the tooth fairy. So fortunately, I left that note in his room and I showed him the note. I said, "Look, this is 12:12 at night. This is like past midnight." I show him the note. He reads the note and he gets excited again. I said, "See, so maybe she'll come back tomorrow with your tooth." And that calmed him down and he went right back to sleep, which got me back to bed. And that was my day. And so I wanted to share that with you, not because I feel like my day was anything special or that I'm some super dad or super entrepreneur. I'm not. I'm like everyone else out there. This is a normal day. And my next day today started at 4:32 and it's now 6:17 and I've got a super full day ahead of me. Tuesdays are always full days because Tuesdays are a huge internal day around client stuff that we do. We do 2 coaching calls. We've got a work sprint that we do with our clients. I've got several one-on-ones that we're doing to help clients plan through the end of this year and into next year. I'm going to be on the phone from 8 in the morning until close to 6 at night. And somewhere in between there, my wife's going to drop off my son at the office. I'm going to take him to gymnastics so he can go and do that. And I'm going to try to figure out a time to do a 45-minute run. And it's going to be a long day. It's just the way it is. And I'm not sharing this because I want to like, hey, look how awesome I am. I'm sharing this because these are normal days. If you're a parent, a spouse, partner, you've got other people in your life, you've got your clients, you've got your company, you've got your team, you've got everything that's happening. These are spinning plates, to use a trite analogy. And you're spinning the plates, meanwhile running down the highway at 50 miles an hour. Or driving at 100, maybe running less than that, whatever the analogy is there. This stuff is hard and it doesn't get any easier. Some days are easy. Some days are fabulous and we want more of those days. I just know that when I had that day yesterday, there are thousands of other people just like me, just like you, that have days like this too. And so the next time you're having a day, whether that day is today or it was yesterday for you as well, or it happens to be this week or next month or whatever, you're not alone. We're all doing this and we're all doing the best that we can. That's the one thing that I said to my wife last night is I'm just trying to do the best I can. I'm trying to be the best dad I can. I'm trying to be the best husband I can. I'm trying to be the best business owner I can. I'm trying to be the best sales coach I can. And, that's all we can ask. So I hope this gives somebody out there some solace. If this is helpful for you, I guess the only thing I would ask of you is to just please share this episode of this podcast with just one other person that might be struggling or might have a tough day or have had a tough day or has tough days, just to let them know that we're all in this together. We're all out there working on this stuff, and this is it. And you know what though? I don't think any of us would trade it. I wouldn't give up my life with my family or anything. I wouldn't give up being a business owner to go back working in a cubicle. I wouldn't trade any of this. I will take billing issues at 8:45 at night in my home office after the day I had, because at the end of the day, yeah, these are problems. And this is one thing I tell people all the time about running my own business. Yes, I have problems. Every business has problems. Every business has challenges, but these are my problems. These are not the problems of the product team or the engineering team or some other team that I'm not responsible for or don't have an influence at if I'm at some other company as an employee. These are my problems, which means I get to solve them. They're my fault. I get to solve them. These are my problems. And like I said at the very top of the podcast, at the end of the day, these problems are not really problems. That's why I wear this Mercy Corps hat. There are people right now without food, without water, without shelter that are in way worse shape than some dude standing in front of his computer with a Superman t-shirt at 6:20 in the morning in his home office, complaining about billing issues with his client, complaining about, how challenging it is to be a dad and a husband. People are in way, way worse shape than us. So just try to keep that in perspective as well. So that's it. That's all I got. This went a little bit longer than I expected. I hope this is useful. Please share it with a friend. And if you've been a long-time listener to the podcast, thank you. If you're a first-time listener, I can tell you most of the podcasts are about sales. We do sprinkle in some real life stuff here from time to time because I want to make sure that all of us out there know, you're not alone. This is stuff we struggle with. We're always expected to wear a mask, to wear a suit of armor, to wear our Superman cape. And truth is, that stuff isn't real. What's real is behind the mask. What's real is behind the suit of armor. What's real is the flesh and bones that are holding up the t-shirt that I'm wearing. So sometimes it feels like that mask has to stay on. And probably more importantly, there's a lot of times that mask has to come off. And that's why I wanted to share all this stuff. So thanks for listening. If you're on YouTube, thanks for watching. Please share it with at least one person. If you can think of someone who could benefit from this, I'd really appreciate it. And that's it. All right. So this is Scott Sambucci signing off. See ya.